I hope it stays around. Hello, hello, and welcome to the show. SykoYoda, back here with another adventure in Minecraft. And today, I've got stuff to discuss, and I'm running low on a few supplies, so I figured we'd go in here and take a look what we can find. This was something that I ran into after doing all of the different abandoned mine shafts, and there was like a couple of ravines down here as well. So I figured today we could pop in here and see what is what, and hopefully we run into something entertaining and exciting. I'm going to go ahead and grab all the resources as I usually do, as much as I can, or would be beneficial, I guess, is the other way to look at it. So if there's something that is just hard to reach, usually I leave like coal in those instances, that kind of thing. Got a fair bit of supplies on me, even emptied out quite a bit of my ender chest to make sure that I had enough room to grab as much as I can while I'm down here. Since I am going to be down here, I want to try to stay down here as long as possible. I thought I heard something. So, that is the plan, that is the skinny. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this water supply, make sure things are lit up as we go. A lot of stuff been going on in real life as of recent, along with the YouTubes. This will be the first episode in the new summer schedule, which means there's only going to be one of these coming out a week. I still intend on them being, you know, as good as they have been and all that stuff. I'm not changing the format in any way, shape, or form. I don't intend to leave the series or anything like that. It's just that I have a lot of stuff going on for the summer. I have talked about before the need for a roof. Well, that is finally happening. Along with that is a whole bunch of work that I'm going to be doing to prep for the new roof, because my house was built in 1969, and it was built, I wouldn't say like in a rush per se, but it's massive track housing type of thing, where pretty much every house is the exact same. They had like 3 different floor plans. The only reason they would change things was simply because of lot size, really. And the thought process behind it was there was a big boom around that time for Boeing, so they had to find a place for everybody to live. And so as Boeing grew here in Washington State, a lot of these developments started showing up, and now I know why that water source was there. I'm going to go ahead and just dig down, I guess. Let's see here. Yep, we'll do that. So things were made on the cheap. They were made just to code, which at the time codes were not as good as they were today. They definitely lacked a lot of what should be common sense things. Even aware of the fact that there is a minor amount of asbestos in my house, like in the drywall and stuff like that. So as long as you don't, mess with it, you're not going to have a problem. It's only, I think it was 2% or something, but it's still there, and the issue with that is, it is a bad thing, and it's still a bad no-no. Make sure this is all good to go here. Unbeknownst to me, as I'm, messing around with the house, I already knew that there was lead paint and stuff in it because of the age that it is, but I didn't have a clue that I was dealing with drywall that had asbestos in it. So that's not good, and I of course have inhaled more of it than I would like to share. So something to look forward to in the future. The biggest issue with it realistically is going to be, I think I took my silk touch shears out. I know I did. It's going to be the potential for throat cancer or lung cancer down the line, which is not good. But there's really not anything I can do about it. I've already been subject to it. I've already, all I can do is wear myself to death at this point. That's kind of a grim situation to be in, or a way to live life, and asbestos is actually everywhere. People don't realize that pretty much everybody's been subject to it at some point in time. You've had it around you without your knowledge, with your knowledge. It doesn't really matter. It's been there, and so people tend to think that it's going to be worse than it is, type of thing. I don't know. I'm not saying that it's not going to. I should always have blocks on my bar. I'm not going to say that it's going to be bad no matter what. What I will say is there is, a chance for things to go poorly for you because of it. That's about it. There is the ravine. Did we already go down there? There's some... I don't remember going down there. I'm still pulling resources out, so that would tell me I haven't been in the area. I don't know. We'll figure it out. There's a lot of stuff around here to check out, no matter what. So... that's that. But because of all these different things that were done on the house, I've got some stuff that I need to take care of, and I need to prep for the roof. I can have them do it, but it's going to cost me a lot of extra money that I don't have necessarily, and I sure as heck don't want to spend if I don't need to. There's going to be a spawner right there. So... trying to figure out how I can reduce the cost as much as possible. It's like an instant mine. You put track down, it's just boom. Look at that. It's just weird. Got some dry rot in the... what are they called? The joists? The ends, essentially, of the roof overhang. And so those are going to have to be dealt with. And I figured I would just go ahead and do it. The way that they were going to deal with it is not the way I would want to deal with it, so I kind of want to do it my own because of that. Well, that sucks. I don't know if there is a... I'm not hearing any spiders spawning. Let's go ahead and... maybe I already took it out. Oh, no, I just haven't gone far enough. Okay, almost to it. Go ahead and take out some of these spiders as we go. See if we'll lag enough to cause an issue for us, but I think we'll be alright. Okay. Now, because of the setup that this is, I think I'm going to go ahead and try to leave this one intact, because you never know when there's going to be more of these around. There could already be one like right next to this. I'm not going to venture on that way at the moment. I'm going to try to light up around here as best I can with this other stuff. I'm hearing other spiders there anyway, so I don't really want to mess with it too much. But for me, doing the ravines, I always try to light from the top and then go down. I don't know if I'm going to spend too much time doing that. That's usually my MO, so I wanted to give you a heads up on it. Yeah, so I have a plan in place that I'm going to get some help from some family members and stuff, getting that taken care of, and I want to start on that as soon as Corbin is done with school. And so that means that I'm going to need to obviously have some time to get all this taken care of. It's going to take probably on my end a couple, 3 weeks, and so I'm thinking, the best way to go about getting everything done. I'm going to do what I can to get it done as fast as possible so I can get back to other projects and doing other things. But as this happened, I realized that I'm going to have to paint the house. And, I could just do the trim over. That would work more than enough to make everything go back to where the house would look good or presentable. But I want to go one step further with that, since I am going to have to be repainting the trim. I might as well do the paint in general, and along with that, I want to kind of make the house look a little bit more, not modern, just more architectural than it is. They didn't put any real thought into the visual aspect of the house when building it, and I want to change that up. So I'm going to be working on that also this summer. There's a couple other projects that I would like to do, and there's one that I potentially will talk about a little bit later on if it comes to fruition. But a lot of things happening for me right now, and I'm pretty excited to see what comes out of a couple of the different things. Just going to have to see how much of time I have, or how much money I can spend to do certain things, and then we'll go from there. I'm always happy to have something to do and have a productive summer. When the summers are not productive, I'm lacking things to do, I get bored really quickly and tend to get a little depressed. It's not because of it being summer or anything and I feel like I should get something done. Just knowing that I don't have the money available when I also have the time available to get some of these things done. It ends up weighing on me pretty heavy, and I don't really know why. Character flaw, if you will. Hereditary, probably. I know that it's very common, at least on my mom's side, to have this kind of an issue where we tend to be quasi-workaholics, and we're constantly having to do things to keep ourselves busy, and so it's where I am at with it type of thing. It's like, how do I want to continue on with the How do I want to continue on with the projects? Are you stuck behind the rails? We're gonna do what we can to get as much as we can done this summer. Because wife and I being in a better place than we were when I first tried starting to do the YouTube videos, it's made life much better. It's made content much better fairly quickly, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go ahead and call that one good. But enough about that stuff. Other stuff has been going on. Wife and I have been trying to get caught up on, popular culture and this, that, and the other thing. HBO is supposedly going to be coming out with a web-only access plan very soon. It is currently available on Apple TV. I have spoke about this before, and you will not be able to change my mind. I am not going to buy Apple products. I'm not a fan of them, and furthermore, I can't stand the backwards technology and everybody thinking that it's okay to be behind the times or claiming that they've come up with something that's been available for eons. I don't get fanboys of Apple or why they're so pig-headed or stubborn to recognize that it is actually, aside from being user-friendly, overpriced, out of date, and ridiculously hyped. So I will be staying away from that stuff as much as I can. I'm just saying. I can't remember if this is the way I came in or not. If this isn't, I'm assuming this isn't the way I came in, because I've been picking up the tracks as we've been going, so I'm going to have to go with that thought process here. Let's go ahead and get some more torches made, since we have the stuff to do so. Also gives me a chance to keep an eye on my availability for coal and all that stuff. If I want to take it into blocks or whatnot. But we've been watching a lot of different television things, movies and stuff like that. And by television, I mean stuff that is no longer usually on TV. Just trying to get caught up with it. But the surprises have been something that shouldn't have been surprising. The first one is we are currently still not done with it. We probably will be, honestly, by the time we get to release of this video, just simply because we've started binge watching it at this point. And that is Daredevil. It's a Netflix exclusive content original series, and holy butterscotch is it amazing. people kept on saying it. People kept on tweeting about it. I wasn't buying it. I wasn't drinking the Kool-Aid or whatever. And I was like, all right, it's Daredevil. It's Marvel. Obviously, I'm going to see it at some point. Let's go ahead and check it out and see what it's all about. First couple of episodes, both my wife and I are just kind of sitting there with our jaws dropped going, holy cow, dude. I mean, the writing in that show, the stunt coordinator in that show, everything about it is just amazing as far as I'm concerned. Now, we are getting towards the end of the first series, so I can't give you my overall view of the first season. I'm sorry, not series. But I can tell you this. We had just finished episode 9 last night, and it was the first episode that I felt like there was way too much backtracking or character building, but at some point in time that's going to happen. And some of the episodes, I mean, these are basically 50-minute long episodes. Some of the episodes are so dang quick paced and stuff. You get done with it and are thinking, oh, it's only been like 20 minutes. Why is this a short episode? Get yourself in trouble with watching too much and not having the time to not having the time to get another one in before you're supposed to be heading to bed or whatever. Made for a couple late nights. So my overall impressions of it is very, very good. Is it good because it's a good comic book story? Is it good because it is a good show, period? It is a good show, period. With a, I guess, caveat. If you are not a fan of violence, or say even like police-style violence shows, and I'm not talking about the regular CBS type stuff, I'm talking about more so things that you'd see on FX or something like that, you're gonna probably have problems with it. There are some overkills on the violence and how they choose to show it, and some of those things I think are unnecessary and definitely inappropriate for any age. It's essentially a desensitization of your. I did not mean to go down there. A desensitization of your senses, of your morals, and those kind of things I don't particularly care to expose myself to too much. And I will use an example of this. I've watched quite a bit of the what is that called? First Blood, I think it's called. HBO original. A lot of nudity, a lot of vampires, a lot of violence, a lot of just horrendously gross scenes. And I've come to the conclusion that something like that does multiple things. First of all, it just makes you feel bad watching it, because if it's beyond what you're used to or what you feel is not even moral, just should be seen, should be experienced in any way, shape, or form, you immediately feel like you did something wrong. And that's a good thing. The problem with that is the more you watch that kind of stuff, the more you feel like it's just something to expect, it's normal. As that show went on specifically, they had less and less of that kind of stuff within it, and so they kind of backtracked, and you get the impression they only did it for the shock factor to get people involved into the story in the first place. I don't think it was a good way to do it. I don't think that it was necessary, and even though I enjoyed it, after watching it, I kind of wish I never had. That's about the best I can describe how that made me feel. It was just one of those things that I really wish I hadn't have been exposed to at some point. That being in parallel with Game of Thrones, which even more people have watched, Game of Thrones I don't have that same feeling about. So if you've seen those two shows, they'll give you some idea as to when I say this show's never made me feel that way. I've never felt like it was going too far. I've never felt like I have just watched something that is completely wrong and it made me feel like a terrible person just for viewing it. I don't know if that's going to change, but I tend to see shows getting tamer as time goes on, not worse. So I'm hoping that it does not get to the point where it's, worse in any way, shape, or form. But I strongly, strongly recommend that show if you have any interest in the Marvel worlds. If you have any interest in Daredevil specifically, definitely watch it. If you just like good, like almost police-like things, or like the old school Batman, not the Michael Keaton Batman, that kind of stuff. If you like those kind of things, you're probably going to enjoy this and at least give it a try if you have Netflix. Is it worth buying Netflix or getting Netflix just for that? I always say no. If you're just getting something for one show, there's something wrong with that on many levels as far as I'm concerned. When HBO becomes available, my wife and I have discussed this continuously because we're so behind on the Game of Thrones thing. I think we've seen the first 2 seasons, and I think we're there on season 4 now, if I remember correctly. But we weren't going to change our television plan just so we could have this available to us. We weren't going to make an effort to change our lives or lifestyle to get to somebody's house to watch. It's just not important. If we feel like we're missing out on something, so be it. This is just riddled down here. It's going to be a maze. So with that in mind, that's kind of where you can draw your parallels and lines and stuff wherever you are with that show. I have been told that the majority of Netflix originals are worth seeing to some extent, and so I fully intend on watching more of them as I get time to do so. Oh my gosh. It's like one after the other. If you know of any of them being super good or you enjoyed any of them yourselves, go ahead and tell me in the comments section, and I'll see if I can check them out. And if I remember that it was suggested to me via you guys, I will go ahead and reply to your comment with how I felt about it, or maybe talk about it here on the Another Adventure in Minecraft. Hello, witch. This is going to be a extremely long tunneling process to get all of this taken care of. I don't think any of it's really close enough to my base I even need to worry about it. It was just that it's sitting here, I might as well hit it up. And yes, I could have just dropped down directly to the level that would be appropriate to find the good stuff, but you never know what you're going to come up with otherwise. So go through everything, see what comes up. You might find yourself a spawner, a couple of dungeons, what have you. Or even more fun, you might just have one of those experiences where you find yourself lost in Minecraft for a couple of hours and rekindle that feeling you've got when you first started playing the game. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why people lose that idea or feeling, is because they've come into a situation where they know exactly what they need to do to quickly move through each area and never really spend the time that they used to spend in the game, immersing yourself in the concept or the idea of just playing. Now, I'm not saying that I expect everybody to do that, and if that makes you bored, you're not going to want to do that, because that means that you're kind of at the end of the game as well. So if you find something that makes you happy in the game, then by all means hold on to it, whatever it is, even if it's a mod or what have you. I'm always interested to increase the length of enjoyment from my game, especially when it's one such as Minecraft. Let's see here. I don't need that. Try to hold on to those as long as I can. As far as cobble goes, I'll try to get rid of that too. And we'll move on here. I'm guessing this is going to run a little bit longer than normal. Just a thought process on that. I'm probably, and I'm willing to say this, already to the point where I should be quitting this out, but I'm going to continue on just a little bit longer, see if we can't find something very fun or good like that right there. I gotta say, making lapis lazuli important again was definitely one of the highlights of the continuation for updates and stuff for this game. Alright, so we were talking about stuff that the wife and I have seen. Well, something else that we recently watched was a couple of movies, one of which was Interstellar. And Interstellar was something that looked very mildly interesting to me when I saw the previews for it. The only reason I went ahead and said, let's get it, is because of Kurt J. Mack constantly and consistently saying the same good things about it. So I'm like, okay, Kurt J. Mack never talks about any movie more than once, really. He occasionally will answer a question that brings him back to something that he's seen more than once. But other than that, even if he liked the movie, he tends to only talk about it just the one time, and then it just disappears. Not only did he talk about Interstellar constantly as it was in the theater, in fact, I think he saw it multiple times in the theater, he also talked about it after he picked it up. When it was released on DVD and Blu-ray. And then he said something to the effect of he only has maybe a dozen movies or something like that. Well, to know that somebody purchased a movie who doesn't typically purchase movies, unlike us, where we have like 300, that means a lot more about how good the film is versus me saying, oh, this film was good, we picked it up. Well, we've picked up tons of films, some of which I am ashamed to say I've never watched more than 2 or 3 times from our DVDs, and then wondered why I purchased the DVD type of thing. So I'm very glad that I listened to what he had to say, and I went ahead and watched it. Interstellar is one of those movies that is fresh. The idea is fresh. The idea is new. And if you think you're going to see a sci-fi movie, there is definitely sci-fi aspects to it. But it's just a good movie. It's a good action movie. It's a good movie about human nature. It's got a lot of I guess social commentary aspects to it. It's just all around something that's going to make you think and really correlate with or check yourself with. Like, you can draw parallels to things in real life, or parallels to your impression or feelings upon things. Kind of opens your eyes about actual day-to-day concepts of wrong one. What is important and all that stuff. I really can't say much more about it. It'll make you feel sometimes like you're rooting for the wrong person almost, and that's always an interesting way to go about something. I also like the fact that it wasn't overdone in the CGI. So many films these days are just constant CGI in the face, and I'm so tired of seeing it. I'm very happy to see a film that comes out that's using old cinema techniques that is focusing on story and content versus yeah. There we go. What was I trying to say? Versus how much money they can spend on special effects to you know, completely blow their budget on that kind of thing. Where are you at? Are you below me? So it was just refreshing. It's not a show you're going to go in there and think is. It's not a show to go in and just have a brainless experience in a movie or cinema. It's a show that it's going to make you think, and I think in a good way. I guess is the best way to put it. The other show we watched that day, we went ahead and just got to at the same time from the old Red Box, was Guardians of the Galaxy. And this was one that everybody kept on saying how good it was, and it was funny, and this, that, and the other thing. I didn't understand why it left such an impact on everybody personally. I'm not saying it wasn't good. It definitely had some good moments and stuff, but that is a lot of skeletons. To say all the good things that people said about it, I expected a heck of a lot more. And I have to give you some kind of a idea where I stand. I own the Avengers. I own Iron Man's. I own the Captain America's. Captain America is basically my favorite of the new franchises, as far as, you know, being related to Marvel and that. So it's not that I'm not a fan of this kind of superhero genre. I just, the campiness of it and stuff wasn't enough to keep me interested in the story. I felt overall that it kind of fell flat, and I didn't understand why there'd be any draw for rewatching this show at all. So my wife's like, we could totally get this show because our son is going to love it, and I agree. I totally agree with that idea. Our son would love the show, but I don't necessarily want to watch it again, so I'm not going to go spend, even if it's on sale, you know, $13-12 for a movie that, in my opinion, ain't worth watching a second time. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know. One of those things. We'll see if it shows up on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something like that. Obviously, that would be most beneficial to us as far as being able to let Corbin see it at some point. Because I do think that it is appropriate for the majority of children. There's not much in bad language. There's no real sexual part. I mean, they talk about a couple of things, but very vaguely, and your kid's already going to have to kind of know what that means before it becomes a problem. Violence is real, but so is it with anything else. And to the point that I've seen cartoons that had more violence in it than this movie did. So I'm very much like, I'd have to go back and see, but I'm guessing the only reason it got a PG-13 rating was due to language. I mean, that's the only thing I can figure, quite honestly. So, yeah, it was meh. It was good to watch once. I probably won't ever watch it again, unless it comes on up to where we are trying to get it set up so Corbin can watch it at some point, and then in which case I will watch it a second time so I can watch it with him to explain anything that may come up that he needs explanation for. And then after that, he can watch it on his own type of thing if there's no situations or complications. That's pretty much how I feel about that flick. Well, I can't think of anything else that needs to be talked about really at this point, and I'm sure that I've already jabberjawed your ear off completely 100%. Along with that, I'm sure we are pretty much out of time. So what I'm going to do at this point in time is cut it here, get myself recollected for supplies and stuff, make sure I'm good to go with that. And then I will go ahead and record the rest of my journeys down here, just in case anything exciting or entertaining comes along, so I can add it to the footage. But that's going to call it for this episode, folks. And once again, we're going into the summer months, and the schedule has changed as such. This is only going to be out once a week. As I see it right now, it's going to be every Wednesday. If this is showing up on a different day than Wednesday, then that means that I had changed my mind on that. But whatever day this falls on is going to be the regular day it comes out. Please feel free to check out the new series, which is the Summer of Sims, where I journey into a game that I've never played before, and hopefully bring you some fun and entertaining stuff with a little bit of a twist, and you'll see what that is if you decide to go check out that film. Oh, let's go ahead and check the spawner out as we say goodbye. As usual, folks, thanks for watching. Don't forget that like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. I heard you coming, Mr. Lingerie Skeleton. Let's see what's in this chest here. String, string, and more string. There's nothing in here worth having. I was gonna drop some stuff off in here, I guess. Well, diamonds, that's nothing to frown upon, right? Let's see how many we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ore. 6 ore. Aw, snap. Made the whole trip worth it right there, didn't it? See you guys next time.